Thank you all for being here with us. And Eid Mubarak from all of us at Doctors Against Genocide for the people who are joining us, for the people who are celebrating Eid. This Eid, our hearts are very heavy, and it's very difficult to even celebrate in Gaza, where we have friends and family members. Our families are marking the Eid with mourning. The takbir is coming from the mosques that have been completely destroyed, but yet the people go there. That being said, over 120,000 Palestinians have gathered in Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem for the Al-Eid prayer this morning. Um, and it's a testimony to faith and dignity in the face of brutality. In Gaza this morning, 43 people have been killed in airstrikes by Israel in various parts of Gaza. We, as a medical community, we also follow the news of our colleagues, and the medical teams in Rafah confirmed that the bodies of the Red Crescent and civil defense workers that were missing were found in a bit by Israeli forces. Many of them were handcuffed. And as we continue to demand accountability, we are met with the silencing and we are met with the censorship. So to people in Gaza, we say to you, we see you, we mourn with you, and we will continue to fight for your right to live and for your right to all of your freedoms. We also celebrate Women's History Month, and it is our honor to have all the women here with us. Thank you for your strength and for your resilience and for being here with us. We also mourn a giant woman that we lost, Dr. Paula Manduka, who reminded us that there is no justice without memory and no transformation without those who remember from the margins. And that is what we are doing here today. We are all belong to communities that are in one form or another of survival mode. So thank you for being here with us. Women are survivors, women are truth tellers, builders of new world, and they carry memory, knowledge, and vision. We have our sisters together here with us from Sudan, where women have been raped and disappeared and silenced, and yet they remain the heartbeat of the resistance. From Haiti, where women lead their communities through the collapse of the government and foreign imposed chaos, often while raising children amidst hunger and displacement. And all this is done with dignity that I experience firsthand. In Myanmar, Rohingya women live between genocide and statelessness, and they are survivors of military violence and global neglect, and we need to focus on them. And and in Congo, we have our sister from Congo, we're waiting for her. Generations of women endure scars of sexual violence that is weaponized in conflict over minerals that we all use for our electronics. All these struggles are connected, and all these struggles need us now more than ever to pay attention to, speak up, and shed light, work together, and not pretend any of this is not happening. Today is also the Lands Day, which is a Palestinian important day. And Maisa will tell us about the history of Lands Day. And then we will hear from our speakers. We have a French interpreter for our Congolese sister. And we are looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you, Maisa.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As Karama said, our hearts are very heavy on a very special day for many, many reasons. It's, as Karama mentioned, it's Eid, but it's also the day where we remember the Land Day in 1976. From Land Day in 1976 to the Great March of Return in 2018 and the unfolding of genocide in Gaza today, our story has not changed. It's the story of exile, resistance, and the price we have paid for daring to exist on the land that birthed us. In early 1976, the Israeli government announced a plan to seize 20,000 dunams, about 5,200 acres of land in Palestine, majority areas like Sakhnin, Arrabe, Deir Hanna, and others in the Jalil, for state use and the Jewish settlements expansion. So Land Day, also known as Yom al-Ard, is a Palestinian day of remembrance and resistance, commemorated every year on March 30th. It marks the killing of 6 unarmed Palestinians by Israeli forces in 1976. Palestinian citizens of Israel, many of them farmers whose land has already been reduced by earlier confiscation, organized a general strike and protests. In response, Israeli forces opened fire on unarmed protesters. On Land Day, March 30th, 6 young Palestinians were murdered by Israeli forces for peacefully protesting against the theft of thousands of dunams of our land. The names are Raja Abu Raya, age 22, Khadr Khalaile, age 24, Muhsan Taha, age 15, Khair Yassin, age 23, Rafat Zuhairi, and Muhammad Khamis. They were killed defending what we all know to be true, that the land is ours. 4 decades later, on March 30th, 2018, tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza marched to the fence in a peaceful call for our right to return to our land. And again, the Israeli forces opened fire. Over 250 Palestinians were killed, including 47 children, 3 paramedics, 2 journalists. More than 36,000 Palestinians were wounded. Over 150 of them were left amputated, some as young as 11 years old. The bullets were designed to shatter bones and futures, and the message was clear. Your bodies are not yours. Your dreams are not allowed. One of those bodies was Razan al-Najjar, a 20-year-old woman, medic, shot dead while wearing a white vest and running towards the wounded, and her crime was trying to save lives. This is not just violence. This is a health catastrophe rooted in decades of displacement and apartheid. Since the Nakba, refugees have lived without land, without protection, and without healthcare. The siege on Gaza has turned illness into a death sentence. And today, the catastrophe has deepened with over 1,100 healthcare workers killed in Gaza since October 2023. Medics, surgeons, nurses, ambulance drivers. Every hospital in Gaza has been bombed. Ambulances have been destroyed. And as Karama mentioned, and Rafah, the latest execution and burial by Israeli forces. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, in the occupied West Bank, over 40,000 Palestinians have been forcibly displaced in recent months due to home demolitions, settler attacks, and military raids. The theft of land continues, and with it, the destruction of health, livelihood, and dignity. This is not a humanitarian failure. It's intentional, it's structural, it is genocide. We are not victims of nature. We are victims of policy. It is the policy of siege that denies us medicine. It is the policy of occupation that denies us freedom, and the policy of apartheid that denies those whose body is worth saving. Yet still we persist, because we are people of memory and of vision. We remember where we came from and we know where we're going. We will return, we will rebuild, and we will heal together. To the world, don't look away. And to our martyrs, we carry your names in memory. To our youth, you are our future. And to the land, we never left you. We belong to the land, and one day the land will belong to us again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mason. So we have our speakers from Haiti, from Sudan, from Congo, and from Ireland, and from the USA. And if I may, I will start with Dr. Guylaine Richard. Dr. Guylaine Richard is from Haiti, and she is the director of training and development at the National Center on Parent, Family, and Community Engagement at Brazelton Touch Point Center. She's also the president and founder of Wise Up Inc., a nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth and development of children, families, and communities in Haiti. And we would love to hear from her about the situation of women in Haiti. And she, as a woman and as a medical doctor, is best at giving us a comprehensive view of what is going on and how we can raise awareness and how we can help.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks most importantly to all of us for being a voice for the one who don't have a voice. If that's okay with you guys, I'm going to share a very quick, because I would love to be able to share some of those slides and as I'm talking to you about about Haiti. Actually, I have there the flag of Haiti, and one of the things that I like to present is a fort. The fort was called the Citadel. If nobody has heard about it, this is a fort that one of the former king of Haiti have built in order to fight the French occupation. And this is one of the fort that helped this country gain their independence. On the other side, you see, what I have is the typical way that Haitian families in the rural areas they live. But one thing that I want you to take from the thing that I will share with you is that there is a motto in Haiti saying that femme c'est potomitan, which means that the women are the strong pole of the country, of the family. So this is what we believe. We believe that we are the strong pole. This is femme c'est potomitan. As you know, this is me. This is I'm Guylaine, and I was born in Haiti, and the most part of my life right now, if I can count the years that I have lived yet, I've been in the United States, but I never left. I never left Haiti. I usually tell people that I was adopted by a country, but I stayed. My mother is Haiti and will remain my motherland for the longest. So basically, what I want to give you is a snapshot of the crisis, and that was taken from UNICEF organization. And basically, all we want to know that island with Haiti sharing island with Dominican Republic, and this is this is two worlds in one little island, and the worlds are very different, and the world is is a lot to say about the governance of Haiti and their allegiance compared to Dominican Republic, where things are quote unquote better. Children in Haiti more than 3 million are in needs of humanitarian support. More than 1.3 million of those children are in need of protection services. And over 1 million people have been displaced. When we talk about displacement in Haiti right now, I have to say that we have 3 kinds of displacement. And you have to be a little bit like, if you wrap your mind around it, it's like, there is migration everywhere. Haitians are leaving their country to come to places where they feel that they will be better, but suddenly they are told you are no longer needed here and we're going to deport you. Haiti has been trying to find refuge to its neighbor country. They are being not only deported, they are being killed. They are being humiliated. There is no dignity for Haitians living in Dominican Republic. Actually, today, there is a march from the supremacist group where they are going to Punta Cana, where there are a lot of tourists, to show their dismiss, their hatred toward Haitians. So this is happening today as we talk right now. So what I want to, and I know our heart is heavy, but myself as a physician and as a person, just a human being, whenever you see children suffering, that brings something deeper into your heart. Like I usually, in Haiti now, the thing that we have is like armed groups. They call them gang, but they should be better called terrorists. They are armed by who? Haiti doesn't have any way of fabricating weapons. Weapons are coming from the country that are saying that they are protecting Haiti. And this is what those young Haitians are being armed to kill their own. So this is what we call true genocide. We don't know if they're drugging them. We don't know what they are, but the type of crime that we're experiencing in Haiti now is never seen before. 85% of the capital of Haiti is under the control of the gang right now, and many other parts of the country. So access to community services they don't have. Like they go against hospital. The main hospital that was serving the population has been attacked. We don't have school. They don't have anything. But the people are still trying to live. And most of them, they are children. As you can see, they have some kind of hope in their eyes, but definitely they go. But I wanted to just take a minute to show you the chaos that those women are going through. But those women, you can see their resiliency to their body, to their muscle. They will hold their kids to go against, a place where they are burning fires, where they kill, where they're using armed forces, whatever, and they will hold their children. So those children are being caught in crossfires. So a lot of them, some children, some people have died of what they call lost bullets, because you don't know where the bullet is coming and suddenly you are the victim of that bullet. But one of the things that I wanted, if this is something that really hurt my heart, is to see the resiliency start very early in our country. Look at this picture of a child carrying in her hand another child and holding on, trying to go to school. That means this is more than dignity. Those children don't deserve what they are. And those are the children that will become the Potomita of tomorrow. They have learned to resist. And that's what we have in Haiti right now. Unfortunately, some of them have been the victim. This is a 12-year-old having a baby in her arms. She was raped. She was probably gang raped. And, now she has a baby. Where does she go with that baby? She doesn't know. What is going to be done? Nobody knows. So those are the things that we are living in Haiti today. So our children live in fear. Our mothers live in fear because they don't know where to go. It's like one day, my own family has been displaced, not extended family. I don't have my aunt, my uncle, my cousin have been displaced already 4 times. From one place to another, they've been running inside the capital, not knowing where to go. So they have some type of hopelessness. And I don't know, if I have a quick minute, because that's not long, maybe I will spare this because, if you want to look at it, you will see that hidden crisis, what happened in Haiti right now. I don't think I did put my thing on, so let me move forward. They fear, but there is something that is happening in Haiti that is even worse, that is even part of that genocide. Those children that you just saw saying that, I want to go to school, I want to do this, I want to do that, they are stolen, they are innocents today. Those children in Haiti are recruited by the armed group about at 70% it soars by 70% in 1 year. So you can imagine, children are 10 years old and they're telling them, go kill, the first thing that they ask them, go kill your mother. And if they don't kill their mother, they kill themselves. So I would like to end because, it's becoming a little bit heavy on my heart, but I know I have to share that story. That story is one that is going to tell you what happened. In March, a mother had a 2-month-old in her hand. She was running from the gangs. Unfortunately, she found a group of men gang had a fire where they were trying to stay a little bit warm because they were in the mountain of Kenskov. That mother was running and they told her, stop, take your 2-month-old and throw that baby in the fire. She said, I can't do this. They said, oh, you can't? Is it a male or a female? She said, this is a baby boy. And they took the baby. They said, oh, probably in 15, 20 years, it will be a policeman. Let's get him. They took the baby in front of the mother, threw that baby in the fire in front of the mother. The mother lost her mind 2 days after she died. That was a pain too hard for her to bear. This is what is happening. This is what is happening in a country that does not build, that doesn't have weaponry. They are sending those weapons to the bandits so they can kill their own. So that's all I say, and I will stop there, and I'll say thank you to all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Guylaine. And if you can stay with us, I am sure I have many questions for you. And I am sure a lot of people will have questions for you. Thank you for sharing this raw pain of children and women, and I'm sure of men as well. I mean, men should never be marginalized when there is suffering and pain because they are victims just like everyone else. So please stay with us and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mesa?
Yes, thank you so much. That was very, very painful. Now I would like to introduce Rania Al-Mugammar. Rania is a Sudanese artist, abolitionist, community organizer, and social justice educator. Based in Toronto, Treaty 13. Rania's artistic and community work is deeply rooted in Black liberation, decolonization, transformative justice, and repair. She is a published writer, award-winning organizer, reproductive justice advocate, speaker, arts educator, and multidisciplinary performer. Rania, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for that introduction. I really want to thank Dr. Richard. I found myself taking so many notes and like feeling so moved by what you had to share. I know it takes a lot out of us to share those kinds of stories. So I thank you for sharing what I know is only a fraction of what the people of Haiti are experiencing and have experienced for a long time. I know that in my own education about revolutionary struggle, liberation, and freedom, lessons from Haiti were so foundational in my thinking. And the resistance of Haitians has been so influential to my own people's liberation struggle. So I'm very grateful for that. If people want to read more about this, I recently read a book called Fear of a Black Republic, and it was really, really, really illuminating in terms of understanding and having context for, you know, Haiti's revolutionary history and the current situation on the ground. So thank you so much, Dr. Richard. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to listen to you. So my friends, I'm joining you today from the relative safety of my home here in Treaty 13 in Toronto, in the gathering place where the trees stand tall in the water, in the lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Petun, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And I live in this place because it's a place that is occupied. Now, I wanted to take a moment to honor the fact that since the onset of settler colonialism, Indigenous people have never ceased to resist it. And at the forefront of that resistance have been Indigenous women whose bodies, lives, spirits, and practices continue to be the site of tremendous colonial violence, especially here in so-called Canada, where half of women who are incarcerated in federal prison are Indigenous women, even though Indigenous women make up less than 1.5% of the overall population, where the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit folk is increasingly growing day by day, and where just this week we saw the discovery of the remains of two Indigenous women in a landfill who were killed by a serial killer, and who are now only being found after like years of advocacy by their families to search for their bodies to return home so that they can be given the send off that can honor their spirits and who they were in life. And I wanted to really recognize that even at this moment, Indigenous women continue to be at the forefront of land defense movements, land back movements, and resistance to all manifestations of settler colonialism the world over. I'm here to talk a little bit about what's going on in my home country of Sudan. And while I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some aspects of my work that brought me here today, right? Although I am not a clinician, I spent many years teaching in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto, teaching in a program called Building, or developing actually, and teaching the entire program called Building the Foundations of Anti-Oppressive Healthcare. And when the siege on Gaza began on October 7th of 2023, I took to Twitter like I often do. And I spoke out about what was happening in Gaza, reminding people that people who are under the thumb of apartheid, genocide, and colonialism have the right to resist by any means necessary, reminding people that when we talk about Gaza, that we are not talking about events that began on October 7th. And 3 days later, found myself fired from that teaching position, which I predicted would happen, right? I kind of knew it, and I knew that I would literally rather, you know, worry about my career than worry about my soul, you know? I could contend with one of those things, but not the other. And so while I was making my way through what that meant for me, my family, and the consequences of that, it really reminded me that those of us who are working in healthcare spaces in particular have such a tremendous responsibility to honor this, you know, life, to affirm life, and to recognize that when we participate in the dehumanization of people, we make way for their murder, fast or slow. And that's really kind of stayed with me for a while. And as I think about that, I think a lot about Sudan's medical infrastructure, right? It's been something that I've been thinking about for a really long time. We see a lot of the same things that are happening in a lot of besieged places happening in Sudan, which is the targeting of healthcare facilities, right? The bombing of hospitals, the targeting of healthcare professionals, because that amplifies the violence and the death. It means that, if we target the pharmacists and the clinicians and the midwives, right? We see that people who maybe didn't die in the airstrikes are now dying preventable deaths from lack of access to insulin, for example, as diabetics are losing limbs because of it, are dying preventable deaths from infectious disease. We see the targeting of like water sanitation infrastructure, which is already really poor in Sudan to begin with, which means that people are dying from waterborne illnesses. People can't access antibiotics, children can't access specialized formula if they need it, so on and so forth. So when we think about the death tolls, whether we're talking about Haiti, Congo, Sudan, Palestine, whatever we're talking about, we have to recognize the people who are not counted are also being killed slowly by these, the same violence, right? While we think about this too, I want to think historically about the medical infrastructure in Sudan. And I'll talk more specifically about what's happening in the war itself in a moment. But while we're thinking about the medical infrastructure in Sudan, there are two things that I really want to remind us of. First is that under the Clinton administration, the United States bombed Sudan's only and very large pharmaceutical manufacturing facility called Al Shifa, which I know that word now we associate so much with Gaza too, right? Al Shifa in Arabic simply means the healing, right? So many medical facilities have that name on them. And in the bombing of this facility, it meant that Sudan was now relying on importing medication from elsewhere in the world. But also simultaneously, the second piece here is that Sudan was under extreme economic sanctions by the United States and the Western world. So that meant that you couldn't get medication into the country. Right. So it manufactured conditions that meant that this war had such a catastrophic impact on the lives of Sudanese people, even more so. Right. People were doing things like, they would travel to the Middle East, they would travel to Europe, they would come back with like penicillin in their suitcases to help stock the pharmacies. Right. People would get some of that medication through the so-called international aid system, which abandoned Sudan in the blink of an eye, taking their foreign staff with them and leaving the local Sudanese staff to die in the war, and taking all the resources, the medication, so on and so forth with them as well. Right. And I want to remind us that Sudan is not a country without doctors. We actually export physicians to other places in the world. The reality of it is that Sudanese doctors make up a large chunk of clinicians all over the Middle East, North Africa, even here in Canada, so on and so forth. So we see that it's not a lack of skills or know-how, it's a lack of resources that is made by manufactured crisis. These are not things that are happening naturally. They are things that are happening because people who have the authority to manufacture that kind of crisis are making it so that it becomes incredibly difficult for Sudanese people to seek, care, resources, or to build the infrastructure that would support their lives. And also the international aid sector is a reality that is, in the Congo and in Haiti, amplifying a lot of the violence, and producing a lot of the conditions of sexual violence, assault, so on and so forth that we see happening. I wanted to also talk about the mechanics of the war that's happening right now. Right. A lot of the times when we're talking about Sudan, we're hearing the term proxy war. And I want to caution us against this a little bit. There are so many proxy elements in Sudan's war, but this is a counter-revolutionary war. The war in Sudan happened because in 2019, at great personal cost, paying with the lives of their young people, their children, Sudanese people began to enact a people's revolution, which overthrew a 30-year military dictatorship. And even prior to that revolution, the last revolution in the region before the Arab Spring was also in Sudan. So Sudan is a country with a tremendous revolutionary capacity and a perpetual desire for freedom. So what we saw was that revolution overthrew Omar al-Bashir's military regime and placed Sudanese people in a really hopeful but precarious place, right? That in-between place. So that was meant to have a transition to a civilian government, where then we saw the current war begin to unfold and the seeds of it begin to be planted, right? This is now the second Eid in Sudan under siege. What we ended up seeing was that the RSF and the SAF, or the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, when people talk about the Rapid Support Forces, if you're familiar with Sudan's history, you might have heard the language of Janjaweed. That's who these people are. They are the Janjaweed. The Sudanese army decided to embrace them and bring them into the fold of the larger umbrella of the Sudanese military after they enacted genocide in Darfur, in the Nuba Mountains, and in ethnic minoritized communities, predominantly in Western and Southern Sudan, and against South Sudanese people before the secession of South Sudan. And as such, embraced them and brought them into the army in order to fortify the military's control over the country. And eventually, this became a battle between two warlords, essentially, at the heads of the SAF and the RSF. And what we ended up seeing is that this is not people who are just doing it for power only. They're doing it for control of Sudan's vast natural resources, which again, we see in Haiti, we see in Congo, and we see elsewhere in the world. And in the case of Sudan, these natural resources are predominantly gold, 99% of which is smuggled into and exported into the Dubai gold market. And for which the UAE has backed the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, and is a predominant proxy agent in Sudan's war. But Sudan's political elite benefit tremendously from this exploitation. They are billionaires in a country where, the average person is making less than $1 a day. And on top of that, we see the resources that are used like everywhere in the world. Anything that you have in your house right now, if you pick up 5 products in your house right now and you flip the backside of it, you are guaranteed that at least 2 of them are going to have gum arabic as one of the ingredients listed, Arabic gum. Sudan is the largest exporter of Arabic gum in the world. It is used in absolutely everything in food manufacturing. So it's a massive resource that is being exploited. We also see, the growing of grains. Sudan has the most fertile soil in the world in the Valley of the Nile. So you can grow pretty much anything in Sudan, but predominantly for grains, water, sesame, cotton, peanuts, which are all ingredients that are, consumed as is, but also used in manufacturing. Right? And also oil. Sudan is also a massive exporter of crude oil. So we see there's a lot of investment in the resources, the natural resources that Sudan has, for the benefit of Sudan's political elite and other proxy agents like the United States, Russia, and as well as the United Arab Emirates, which has been financially supporting the war in Sudan and the RSF, and specifically through the purchase of weapons technologies produced in the apartheid state. So we see Israeli weapons technologies, which are developed in Israel, tested on Palestinians, and then exported to terrorize people in Sudan and in Haiti as well. We see that the weapons technology being used there and also being used in the Congo. So it's really important to think about Palestine as a place where any terror that happens there boomerangs everywhere else eventually, right? And that it's a testing site for a lot of that violence. We're also seeing things like ethnic minoritized communities. And I know that some people right now are celebrating the so-called liberation of Khartoum, or the capital of Sudan. That just means it fell back firmly under SAF control, or the Sudanese armed forces, largely, with the taking back of the Republican Palace. I'm here in Canada because of the Sudanese armed forces, because of the violence they enacted on our community for more than 30 years, because of the violence that they used to target ethnically minoritized communities of people who they consider to be outside the umbrella of Afro-Arab, right? The reality is that these are like racial constructions that are built by colonialism. It's wild to be Sudanese person. Sudan literally means land of the black people. Okay. And to decide that some people are black and some people are not underneath that umbrella. But that's the mechanics of anti-blackness, is that it internalizes this like proximity to whiteness or Arabness or whatever it might be. And as such, we see like profound violence being enacted in that space, right? I want to talk a lot about Sudanese women. From the revolution to the war, Sudanese women have been at the forefront of resistance, of care work, of providing for people. When we cannot rely on our governments or international aid, we can only rely on each other. I want to take a moment to honor the women who would never get invited to a panel like this, but whose work is essential and life-saving. I want to take a moment to honor the tea sellers. Sudan has an incredible network of tea sellers and tea sages who sell tea on the street corners and who have been instrumental in providing food and running contributing to Sudan's emergency response rooms, which are civilian-led mutual aid groups that came from the neighborhood committees, which ran the revolution essentially, and who have been instrumental in running Sudan's community kitchens, which have been feeding people in the largest hunger and displacement crisis in the world. And I want to take a moment to honor the aunties, the midwives, and the people who have been caring for people under impossible conditions. Sudan has a really tremendous history of midwifery and reproductive health care that is being led by women for women, and who have been actually instrumental in fighting back against FGM, FGC. And we're seeing now with the advent of war and the control of the militias, the rampant sexual assault, rampant increase in FGM, FGC, forced marriage, and really gendered violence that is often, comes hand in hand with the conditions of war. And in particular, thinking about the ways that women have been disproportionately affected by the fact that Sudan is also the largest child displacement crisis in the world. So what we're seeing here is violence that is so multi-layered, so nuanced, but also even in the diaspora, Sudanese women are leading mutual aid efforts, right? Whether it's the Sudan Solidarity Collective or, the Sudanese Liberatory Movement, or even the Sudanese Communist Party, which has done a lot of work in the diaspora to put money back into the community. And even the economic sanctions are making it extremely difficult. They're still in place right now for people who are fundraising money to get money back into Sudan without getting, into a lot of trouble with the various tax agencies of the places where they currently live, and finding ways to do that in a way that actually gets money and resources into the hands of people has been tremendously difficult. But I really just want to remember and recognize that a lot of this violence has been enabled by imperialism, colonialism, and global white supremacy, and that the way that Sudan has been largely ignored, except for people who are themselves under the thumb of colonialism, imperialism, and white supremacy, who look into the faces of Sudanese people and see their own struggles reflected, is a result of real profound anti-blackness, right? And I know that I see that there's a couple of questions here. The one thing that I will answer now is that the US placed an embargo and sanctions on Sudan under the guise of counter-terrorism, right? This notion that Sudan is like a training ground for terrorists, and if we financially cut them off, then there will be no terrorism to have to worry about, right? Predominantly in a sort of anti-Al-Qaeda political strategy, which obviously is actually about control of natural resources, money, et cetera, et cetera. Having a debilitated, destabilized Sudan is productive for all the nations that are looting and stealing Sudan's natural resources, right? I know that there's some questions about the Zionist involvement in Sudan. And I will say the one thing that I'll say about that is that a huge motivator for the revolution in Sudan was rejecting normalization of relationships between the former Sudanese dictatorship and military regime and the Israeli state, because Sudanese people are deeply committed to the Palestinian cause. There are many Palestinian refugees who either, came from since 1948 onwards and settled in Sudan, And even during Sudan's revolution, you would see the Palestinian flag being flown in the protests. So Sudanese people really rejected this as a people, whereas the Sudanese government benefited from normalized relationships with Israel because it meant that it had access to weapons. So I just wanted to leave it here so that I can have some space for the other speakers who I'm looking forward to hearing from. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Rania. This was incredible. We have been hearing feedback about the speakers that everyone is grateful to hear from you. And as we all say in Doctors Against Genocide, exploitation means lack of health and means an attack on healthcare systems, an attack on the people's well-being. And exploitation means that someone is benefiting from whatever is happening to increase their profit margins and make profit of other people's exploitation. And we see that in Haiti, we see that in Sudan, we see that in Congo, and and obviously in Palestine, which is the test tube for all these atrocities. So all these connections here are extremely important. We are seeing the attack on the educational platforms that teach about settler colonialism, that teach about exploitation of resources in the global south. And that means that the narrative is getting strong and the narrative is threatening, and our voices are not in the void, our voices matter, and people are trying to silence them. So it is very important that we continue to be able to make these connections, speak, and be strong in our message. We know what is right. We know that exploitation is a health risk catastrophe, and it leads to war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And this is a consistent theme. It might have different players, different plots, but at the end, it's very much the same. So I will welcome Anne-Marie Collins, my friend and colleague from Ireland. Anne-Marie is the co-lead of the Global Campaign Against Racism, which has 17 chapters all over the globe. She's the co-leader of the Decolonized Feminist Community Network in Spain, Red Antirracista. And Anne-Marie is a very kind person, and she's always struggling at the intersection of systems of oppressions and health. She works with a lot of medical communities all over the world because medicine means justice, and without justice, medicine is affected. So, and racism affects medicine in the very heart of it. So I welcome Anne-Marie. Please share with us.
Thank you, and thank you very much. And I won't take up too much space. As Karama said, I'm usually very much a community organizer and behind the scenes, and yeah, just not used to these platforms, but I'm experimenting also in this side of my organizing. Thank you so much, Gillian and Rania. This was just incredible political education, and I'm just so grateful that we continue to use Zoom really in this way, or any type of platform that we can just interconnect our struggles and continue this dialogue. I'll begin by uplifting the women in my life. Yeah, I'm from Ireland, a Scottish migrant born in Glasgow, and I'm uplifting the Irish women that resist occupation and continue to struggle for a united and free Ireland. I uplift the health workers in Haiti. The origins of our global campaign against racism actually started in the aftermath of the Haitian earthquake. And I am honoured to struggle with the power of Black liberation and the way that they practice that in their lives every day. And I honour my colleagues from Spain. We have a network of decolonialised feminism women from across the Americas that have been displaced in racial capitalism struggles around resources. And we're here in Spain co-creating these popular education schools that are really uplifting the root causes of displacement, which I know that we all know that if we had more integration of this in education, showing the root causes of colonialism, we would not be where we are in this moment, right? We would be struggling from within to dismantle the system together. And then on Palestine, in my heart today, the poem of Bobby Sanders, the hunger striker, rings very strongly in my mind. I will post the link of the poem in the chat. But the final line that he says, he speaks around facing the tyranny as he was on this hunger strike in the final days. And what he says is in the final line, I am right. I am right. And I stand with all of you. I stand with Palestine because we are right. And this tyrant of backlash and this tyrant of empire that we're living at is very different intersections, very different intersections. And I'm saying that knowing the white skin that I am living in here right now. But we are right. We are right. And it's really important to continue to be in community and struggle across context so that we feel that, because this backlash is only leading to isolation. And the more that we can just continue to be in community, be in spaces that we are speaking, we know that in our blood, we know we are right. And I'm here with my Irish ancestors because we are also right in this struggle. Very quickly, I will speak about global health, the global campaign against racism. We very much started in the aftermath of the Haitian earthquake, and initially we started courses in Haiti, Uganda, and Minnesota around social medicine. And the idea was around the harm that the biomedicine curriculum is doing within public health, right? Where we are not ever having these structural discussions on health outcomes, and very much the complicity then of public health right now, which is invisibilizing those structural components of health. So we started with the courses, and then what happened was we decided to launch a movement because there was a strong feeling that we needed to not only be in these social medicine courses, but also be at the intersection of community organizing and health. And that's where I came in, where my origins are very much in the struggles of community organizing and building movements. And now we're across 17 contexts, with the most recent chapter that we have accepted being Western Sahara. And I'm uplifting also, or using this moment to also uplift the struggle of Western Sahara. Our chapter recently named it the Race Against Disappearance, because this is, to what Rania said, a slow genocide in the Western Sahara, but this is the race against disappearance as well, due to the lobby and the pressure and the silencing of Morocco globally on their occupation of the Western Sahara. And we're hoping soon to be able to co-create a space with our CAR Palestine comrades and our Western Sahara comrades to really interconnect the commonalities of providing health. But I heard this also earlier from Rania, but to not provide health in this NGOization way that stifles the struggle, right? But how do we provide health in a way that uplifts the self-determination of communities around the world? And I think it's a conversation that in this moment we need to push forward even more. On Palestine, we very much started partnering with the FXB social medicine course. We've been supporting our comrades on that and exchanging the knowledge that we learned in Haiti and Uganda. And they launched that course 2 years ago in Gaza, and we joined the course this year in Jordan. And that obviously there was deep grief in doing it there and not in the land of, and not, sorry, with our Palestinian comrades in Gaza. But more recently, what we were doing around our struggles on the liberation of Palestine was to really think about interconnecting struggles. And very interestingly, before October the 7th, 2023, I think 5 days before, we actually did a settler colonialism symposium where we were trying to interconnect the struggles of the Dene people, Palestine people, in Zimbabwe, and look at what the interconnections are. And that's not to say that we were trying to force comparisons, but we do need to intersect commonalities to have some type of deeper and more global struggle against settler colonialism. And that's what we have been trying to do in the last few years in our struggle in solidarity with Palestine. And then more recently with Doctors Against Genocide, yeah, we've been honoured to learn from them, to learn from their courage at really being at the front line. And we held in solidarity with the campaign Not Another Child, Not Another Hospital, a global press conference live from West Bank. And I'm happy also to put that in the chat, and that was in December. And we want to keep trying to create these platforms that are kind of intersecting contexts all at once and listening to the Palestinian voice. And that's what we've been trying to do. And lastly, and I wanted to show this, I think one of the actions that we try to do, oh, here it is. Also is, oh, sorry. Okay. At the very beginning of the genocide and action that we took was actually letter writing to health workers in Gaza. And what we did was we gathered letters. It's not allowing me to go up, sorry. We gathered letters from Zimbabwe, from Haiti, from Ireland, from various contexts where we just tried to speak to staying steadfast in the struggle and in the interconnections that people are feeling. I'll just read this and then finish. As a community of health workers, healers, and organisers, we wanted to co-create an action that would elevate the interconnections of our struggles for liberation. Oops, sorry. We are in the collective. Oh, I think it's going to get stuck. Okay. Anyway, I'll stop sharing, and I'm not great with technology, so probably it's my fault. But I wanted to show these letters to really show that this was not some type of empty letter writing. This was a way that we need to start to speak from our place of struggle, but then also can interconnect it with Palestine, because I think this empathy that we build is deeply important, but I think also digging into the lineages that we have around settler colonialism and interconnecting for a free Palestine is the way that then in this moment Palestine will free all of us. And so the idea of this letter writing was to hear from Zimbabwe what they lived under land struggles, to hear from various other contexts what they lived around land struggles and what they can offer in this moment to push forward, stop the genocide and push forward for the liberation of Palestine. And that's where we're sitting at in the moment.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. It's really a pleasure to have you join us, and just to remind us of how interconnected all the struggles are, and that the root cause of everything is racism and deep colonial settler racism. So thank you so much for sharing with us. So I would like to introduce Mariam Abbas Nasser, who is a healthcare worker and organizer with Decolonize Sudan. She's also a member of Houston for Liberation and Queers for Palestine from Dongola, Sudan, based in Houston, Texas. Mariam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me. I am extremely honored. Oh, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. First off, I'm extremely honored and thankful to be here amongst many powerful women and healthcare workers, of course. And I know it's a really heavy day for a lot of us, and so I'd like to preface with, dua for all of the martyrs. May they be granted the highest levels of Jannah, inshallah. And for those who are grieving their loved ones this Eid, may you find peace and hope in times of strife. I mean, like Rania said, 80% of our healthcare infrastructure in Sudan has been decimated, and we are by far, alongside Palestine, in a humanitarian crisis. But many don't talk about the who are the main players of our genocide because they are very much connected. I remember there was somebody asked a question earlier about Israel's role in our genocide in Sudan, and that is Israel provides the genocidal RSF with surveillance tools and weapons alongside the UAE that helps kill people and surveils family members and journalists through WhatsApp, the same way they do with Palestinians as well. So they are a very key player in our genocide just as much as the genocide that they impose on Palestinians. Um, and I would also like to talk about, I know today's heavy, so I'm going to talk about something that brings us a little bit of hope. In the midst of not having a proper health care infrastructure, the community itself has mobilized, led by women, mobilized to create emergency response rooms to cater to the healthcare crises that Sudan is facing. And I'd really like to touch on just how honorable that is, that like women are very much the forefront of every single anti-colonial movement, especially in Palestine. Um, and let me see if I have some slides real quick. I'm so sorry. Oop. And today I would actually like to talk about people power. Let me see if I could see this. There we go. Can we see this okay? Yeah, perfect. So a lot of people like to ask, like, how did we get here in the first place? And in 2018, 2019, protests broke out, led by workers, college students, women, to protest, the rising prices of bread, lack of a proper working, like labor laws and structures. And so the working conditions were really bad over there. And so protests broke out. And then they transitioned from those demands to the demand of self-governance. So let me see. So let's see. Sorry about that. In 2018, protests began to economic instability and mismanagement under Omar al-Bashir's regime, who created the Janjaweed, which is more commonly known today as the RSF. And by the end of December 2018, the protests called instead for the removal of al-Bashir due to his corrupt regime and how it's impacted the people thus far. And then the 2019 revolution, which happened in February, coalitions of Sudanese social justice groups and academics united together to overthrow al-Bashir. And the Sudanese Professional Association was at the center, mobilizing and organizing the people of Sudan. And here are some photos. One prominent woman from that time was Alat Saleh. She's now, I believe, working at the UN. And one of her more famous quotes of that she's uttered during the revolution is that if you see evil, you should not stay silent, for that evil, lest that evil multiply 60 times fold. We have a term in Sudan called kandaka, which means strong women in Sudan. And it really emphasizes the power that women hold, because women do hold up half the sky and even more. And it really emphasizes like the powerful role that women hold in movements like these. Let's see, sorry, my camera. And in April, Bashir was overthrown by a military coup led by the SAF and the RSF. The Transitional Military Government Council was formed and led by Military General Burhan and the leader of the RSF militia, Hemeti. However, just days before that transitional government was to take place, the RSF seemingly out of nowhere invaded the capital, and they did it almost strategically by attacking the banks, the financial systems. They attacked the healthcare systems, any medical professional that was trying to help the injured on the ground in Khartoum was killed, which is a violation of which is a war crime. And let me see too. Oops. Oh no, sorry about that. And I'd also like to touch on, the intersectionality of all movements. I've grown up, learning stories about how Sudanese people did mobilize to defend Al-Aqsa Mosque in the West Bank in Jerusalem. Sudanese people have been very vocal in for Palestinian liberation, and I think it's important to note that our struggles are very much interconnected. We have one common enemy, and that is colonialism. And so, from the belly of the beast, I encourage you, if you're coming out of anything today, just use your voice. As we're facing repression, it means that our voices are becoming that much more powerful and we own the narrative. And it's important now more than ever to use your voice and speak out, honor your oath. And as healthcare workers, as doctors, as mothers, daughters, it's really important that you speak out against injustice, because the one quote I'd like to use is like, the treachery of your tears is no use against fighting injustice. Only your voice and your efforts are. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mariam. That was a very important message. So there is the debate now that is being used against what we all spoke about is that advocacy is not something that healthcare workers should worry about, and it should only be scholarly pursuits of the intricacies of medicine and healthcare, and basically how to best treat rare carcinoma or something like that, or autoimmune diseases, which is all very, very important. And, we definitely made a lot of advances in medicine, but making advocacy a taboo word in medicine is only a way for us for the system to silence those who speak up against exploitation, against racism, against structural systems that exploit some people and benefit others. And this is what we are facing. All this repression is because the lights have been so bright and people are seeing the truth. And the only way that the people who support the systems of exploitation can behave is by violent repression. And we are seeing how, the student movement that has been very strong in support of the Palestinian human rights. Basically, those students were asking not to kill children in the encampments. They were basically asking to protect humans and protect healthcare workers and end the war. Ceasefire was the one ask from the students consistently. And instead of actually listening to the students who have always been the forefront of making change in South Africa, in Vietnam War, in civil rights movement. The systems of oppression are making the students seem like they are the problem and they are the disruptors and they are the ones who need to be taught a lesson, and not at all trying to figure out what is it that they were actually demanding. And this is what we are seeing. We're seeing, especially in the Palestinian movement, this is the repression is a way for shifting the narrative, distracting people. Everyone is worried. What about me? What have I said? What have I done? Are they going to come for me? And instead of actually focusing on the knowledge and focusing on the advocacy, which is very important for our patients, for our communities, for each other. So I thank every one of you for being here. And I really encourage each one of us to continue to build these connections and learn how to advocate. Learn how to advocate for positive change that protects life and protects health, and make us respect ourselves when we wake up in the morning, that we are actually doing something meaningful and something that will help others in the office as doctors or nurses or healthcare workers and beyond, and not limit ourselves to what the system wants us to do. And, thank you all for staying. So I just wanted to ask Dr. Richard, in terms of Haiti, which is, it seems like as if the destiny of Haitians to be at the mercy of these gangsters on the streets. And, even I remember you saying that even you, a Haitian woman, a proud Haitian woman, are worried about going back. How do we collectively advocate for change in Haiti so that Haiti is, again, the proud country of the proud Haitians?
Thank you so much for this question. And I'm grateful to all of you for listening to that cry and trying to help us find solution. But let me just expose one thing that I didn't expose probably. Imagine gang are after you. You're trying to find some place to stay. You can't. And the quote unquote people that are telling they're going to help you are like, there is no, I've never seen anything like this. After the earthquake, we were able to go like in private jet and whatever we could find, we were able to be there. However, now the Port-au-Prince has only one international airport. There is one in Cape Haitian right now, which this is not meeting the standards of an international airport. There is one that they just built in another place in the southern part called Kai. That doesn't mean that doesn't meet the standard. Imagine the only airport that meets the standard of an international place where they could come. Now this is closed. Even if you wanted to run, now the only way you can run is by, I would have loved to go into my country. I would have to my country of origin. I would have loved to go there. But unfortunately, the airport, no plane from the United States is going. No plane from any country is going. The only person that said there would be a plane, I don't know, they said by tomorrow, is Aruba Air. We said they're gonna have one trip a day, probably, if they can do that. The cost of it is almost $1,000 to get back and forth. So imagine those people don't have work, who can go? The price of an helicopter to leave Port-au-Prince, to go to Cape Haitian, to get to that one, not US like own or whoever own French own whatever airline, is Sunrise Airways. Sunrise Airways is charging 700 and some, and for that little airport in Cape Haitian, so you can't leave. You got to take an helicopter for $3,000 US dollars to go to Cape Haitian, to get on a plane, to get to the US or to go. The Dominican Republic have closed there is no flight between Haiti and Connection. Now, imagine on top of this, what they have done, the bandit don't let you go from one part of the country to another part of the country. So really in the capital, the only thing is to buy your coffin and to hold it tight, waiting for you to die. So the people have started to be like, the people are tired. They don't have ammunition. They don't have machetes. They don't have this. And the gangs are getting big, big guns. The worst thing that is happening in Haiti right now, we have a governance, and I want to say it. I don't care what happened to me. I want to say this is the only country in the world that has 9 presidents. 9 presidents. Never that had happened. And that was supported by the friends of Haiti. 9 presidents. They have done nothing. Nothing. At a point, what is killing me? Myself, my parent had to flee Haiti under the Duvalier. I was born under the Duvalier. My parent had to get us out because of the persecution. But the thing that hurts me the most today, I'm hearing Haitians saying, we wish we were under the dictatorship of Duvalier compared to what we're getting now. That is it for me. I can't, my voice, I don't know how to voice it again and saying, please let my people go. Let my people go. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to go inside their country. Whatever we have that you like, please ask us and we will give you. We have always been giving to the world. Haitians have always been very, very giving people. So they will give it to you, but please don't kill them for what they have.
So how do we advocate for that, Galen? What do we do as, as an organization or as people? What is it that we can?
I think myself now, we have been forming some groups, but the people in Haiti, they are so tired, they can't really so we are trying to build here. I join we can actually, the voice that you're giving me today is really helpful. The voice that I'm getting to other organization where I can talk is really helpful. But the cry that we're having is really to tell people, at least let them breathe. Let them breathe. They can't breathe. They don't have a plane. I cannot go to my country today. I cannot go to my country and say, I'm going to go to Port-au-Prince. There is no plane who's going to take me there. So that's out. I could go to Cape Haitian. When I go to Cape Haitian, I cannot go to the capital because I have about 10 bandit stops that are going to either, if I'm lucky, they will not rape me. If I'm lucky, they will not kill me. So the only thing that we want to say, the best way to help us is to tell people, let them go, let them go, let them go around. This is all I can say myself, because they can't go anywhere. People can't move inside and outside this country. And, like other people of really when you're deporting, the deportation that they're having now, I wish I could talk to the people that have that in their mind. Where are you deporting them to? They have put fire in most of their houses. They don't have a place to go. So if you're gonna let them go, at least please take those guns. Stop bringing guns to Haiti. Stop bringing bullets to Haiti. They cannot sustain it. They don't have anything to fight against them. That's what I would say.
Stop guns to Haiti.
Stop guns to Haiti.
And
Stop
do not
bullets
deport
to Haiti.
deport Haitians
Do not deport
back to
now.
Haiti
Yes, please do not deport.
because they have
They
nothing
don't
to go
have any
back to.
place to go. They don't have any place to go. If you want a genocide, send them there. If you want today for people to get more, to kidnapping. The kidnapping is horrendous. They kidnapped a doctor recently. That lady, I know her. She had like, they were putting her to something where she lost her dignity. She was losing her dignity and saying, please kill me instead, in a way. Don't do that to me. Kill me instead. So people are choosing death now instead of screaming. They can't scream anymore. So please don't send any more guns to Haiti. Don't send any more bullets to Haiti. And please give us a couple days to stay safe and we will go home.
Thank you so much. That's a call for us to learn more and to be more aware of what is happening so that we can actually speak up, especially for the Haitians amongst us who live amongst us who are being deported at very high numbers. Thank you. And a question for the Sudanese ladies.
Right.
So there is a case that is brought by Sudan demanding emergency measures against the United Arab Emirates and accusing it of violating international law and reminding it of its obligation under the Genocide Convention. We would love to hear more from you as Sudanese activists and anything that we can do to support and help.
Rania had to leave, Karam.
Okay, we have Mariam.
Thank you. So as of recently, Sudan has brought a case to the ICJ against the UAE, accusing it of like committing genocide against the Sudanese people. There's also been calls for an arms embargo, from the US to the UAE. A little bit of context as to why that might be difficult from the politician's standpoint. UAE has been a strong military supporter of the United States, and like vice versa as well. So, of course, an arms embargo would be quite difficult. As of today, there's also a travel ban on Sudan imposed by the United States as well. So many Sudanese people um, will not be displaced in America will not be able to return back to Sudan at all. Not that we can right now anyway. One thing that, a lot of things that we could talk about is like, shifting the narrative. There's a big narrative going around that Sudan is not going through a genocide, but going through a civil war that is entirely false. We are experiencing nothing short of a genocide, or if you're really wanting to like generalize it, a very, very brutal coup d'etat. Our fight for self-sovereignty and self-determination has always been thwarted by foreigners, the UAE, the United States, Israel, all of them. And so our message to you is, never stop talking about Sudan. That is the best thing that you could do right now. Never stop talking about Palestine, because that is the one thing that you could do right now. We call for an arms embargo for Israel and for the UAE, because that's where the main weapons are coming from on all sides. We call for reparations for the Sudanese people to help rebuild their infrastructures, and so they can come back, they could come back from the damage that they have suffered. And we call for a democratic governance led by the people for the people, both here and everywhere. And as always, keep Palestine in your minds. Inshallah, we will see a free Palestine in our lifetime, and we'll see free Haiti and free Sudan, free Congo in our lifetime, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mariam. We have another Mariam. سلامات مريم كيفك؟ الحمد لله على السلامة.
أنا دكتور كرامة. مرحبا. الله يسلمك. Sorry for being late. Just I have
No
some
worries,
visitors.
no
Sorry for
worries.
that. you know, this is the third day of Eid, and I cannot tell يعني my guests I have
طب
some
خليني أعرف
just
عليكي بالأول.
يعني I apologize for
This
حبيبتي
is my friend
I am
مريم
مريم
مصطفى.
مصطفى.
Yes, go ahead. عرفي حالك. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I am Mariam Mustafa. I'm working in Yafa Cultural Center in Balata Camp. I'm the coordinator for a project called Health for All with cooperation with the association 143 in Boston. My work to follow and take care of patients of diabetic patients and hypertension in Balata Camp. So I have nowadays, we're following 150 patients, and my team consists of a medical doctor, 5 nurses, and one for logistic and media works. يعني this is all about my work, and
مريم
you
مريم
know the situation in Balata.
مريم خليني بس أقطعك. Just to clarify, Balata
Yes,
refugee camp is in the West Bank. It's very close to Nablus, the city of Nablus. It
yes,
is a very
yes,
crowded
in the
refugee
eastern part.
camp that has over
Yeah, it's the
35,000.
in the eastern part of Nablus.
Mhm. كملي.
Yeah, it is in the eastern part of Nablus. And it's overcrowded, about 33,000 people on a space which is less than quarter kilometer square. The people in Balata camp, their original يعني place is Yafa. Even because of that, we call Yafa Center according to يعني our original place, which is Yafa. In Balata camp, not only we have some difficulties because of social يعني difficulties, economic, psychological, also challenges. Because of that, the people who in 143 choose Balata, يعني it's the second place for their project, to let people have some care, health actually, because in Balata only we have one clinic related to UNRWA, and this clinic should receive every day not less than 1,000 people every day, because they have only 4 doctors and 7 nurses, and about 50,000 people, not only in Balata, we're talking about 33,000 in Balata. And don't forget other refugees who are living surrounding Balata. They have the UNRWA card, and they have the right to come to this clinic to have the health care like others. So we're talking about more than 50,000 people should be received by this clinic. Because of that, we have such difficulties in Balata of health aspects. About also the educational aspect, we have for schools, two for boys, two for girls, from first till ninth grade. And schools, each class consists not less than 49 to 50 students. And they have only one teacher. So imagine yourself as a teacher, how can you cope with this big number of students every day, and how the educational levels should be. Because of that, we have some difficulties in all aspects: educational one, health one, and يعني other difficulties because of the invasions of Israeli invasions every day, during night, during day. It doesn't matter. Even before 2 days, they come to يعني to our place, to Balata, while we are in our work, and we stayed in our offices about 4 hours during Ramadan, move and shooting everywhere. Most of military jeeps, they have something on their يعني jeeps. We called it like it feels of human beings. If they touches anything related to a human being directly, they start to shoot in, and doesn't matter anywhere. And I like to add this to is something very important, that one of my team, his name was Rasmi, and he was killed by Israeli soldiers on the October, on 28th of October, last October. And one also of my patients, she is 82 years old. Also, she was killed while she was bringing her breakfast. Also, she is one of my patients, and we were following her. يعني this is some experiences that we had in Balata and according to the health care. I want also to add about this woman who was killed, that when she was 82 years old. We introduced for my patients 2 courses for first aid, and this one, the martyr, I mean, she took this course with us, and she started to help injured people. She was using her scarves to cut it into pieces to help injured persons surrounding her house while she was hearing their suffering after injury. But hope يعني what we can say, it's her يعني destiny to die like that, to be killed in about more than eight bullets in her chest while she was bringing her breakfast. And Rasmi, the same thing. He was trying to help another person. He was injured. So we lost many, and many people we are following. They are mothers of martyrs, fathers of martyrs, and father of prisoners. So they are suffering of psychological difficulties, not only health يعني and medical difficulties. The system of our work. Are you with me, doctor?
مريم,
So
yeah.
the program of يعني the yeah, in our program we start to talk to deal with these people first of all in psychological way. We're trying to help them psychologically to release their pressure and tension. Then we can يعني talk with them in healthcare and medical ways that can help them, and the medication and these things. But first of all, we're trying to help them psychologically, psychological support. By social worker who's working with me, and other associations, local associations like Doctors Without Borders, and other associations who take care of some يعني psychological effects and difficulties. We let these patients also trust of us as a whole team. Then they can talk freely to us. We are good listeners for them, for their problems, and we're helping them in all aspects: psychological, social, even medical, referring them to hospitals. Sometimes we're helping them financially also by local donors, and some يعني good people who are trying to help financial and economic support. Because most of people in Balata suffering from poverty, most of them they are under the line of poverty because of most of them they were working in the land, occupied land. And nowadays, after the 7th of October war, most of them they stayed without work. So our role here to help them, trying to find jobs for them. So most of my patients, especially women who has some crafts of embroidery and handicrafts work, we're helping them to do such this craft and marketing their project and goods. This is the way we're trying to help them in this way. Beside also other associations who were good people to donate them for, يعني, every month, and to let them at least to have the food for their children. And alhamdulillah, especially during Ramadan, we did the best. And I will not forget also that we help them to facilitate for them to have the machines and instruments of diabetes and hypertension to check their illnesses anytime they want, for them and for their families. And we have some donors also to give us 1,000 injections of insulin. We give most of our patients who are using insulin also the injections that they couldn't buy from private pharmacies. Alhamdulillah, يعني we did a good job, and we're documenting everything through video, through photos. We have a waiting list for more than 200 people. They are waiting their turn to join us in our program in Balata.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Mariam. Mariam, are you in touch with the healthcare workers in Ain Shams, بطول كرم?
Actually, not لا, because Nidal, he made for us a WhatsApp group for me and one called Anfal. I think she's the coordinator in Ain Shams, in Mukhayyam Noor Shams, and for Aya in Aida camp. Yeah, but we
because
didn't in contact
not
together. We hope that we have some contact together. Maybe we can raise our and develop our work more than this.
Okay.
Maybe we can get benefit from some experiences that they have.
Yeah, we were hoping to have the healthcare workers in Nur Shams in Tulkarem join us today, but they were not able to. As you all know, Nur Shams in Tulkarem and the refugee camps in Tulkarem have been suffering greatly. More than 40,000 people have been made refugees after being refugees for decades. The community is really suffering a lot because of the constant attacks on the camp by the Israelis. What is happening in Gaza is being carried on in different parts in the West Bank, first Jenin and then Tul Karem. So we are extremely concerned being Palestinian, being from there, having family in the West Bank, having friends there, having, friends in Gaza. It feels like there is no safe space for any Palestinian anywhere. So we continue to survive as best as we can. Thank you for Mariam. Mariam does a phenomenal job in Mukhayyam Balata, being a very engaged community healthcare workers who follows the accompaniment model, meaning that the healthcare workers actually go door to door in the refugee camps, checking on people, checking on patients. A lot of the time, they are the only contact that these people have with the outside world because some of these people are very disabled. They cannot walk, they have diabetes, they have amputations. And just that visit means the whole world to a number of people in Balata. So, Mariam, thank you so much for
You're
being a
welcome. Just
phenomenal
I want to
woman.
add one point, Dr. Karama,
تفضل.
if you permit for me, that according to my team and me, and with them, we had many experiences while we are in field because يعني some invasions happened يعني at once without our knowledge that there are some armies here or there. Directly you hear that there's a shooting here or there in the middle of the camp in the Elises, and this happened with us many times because the soldiers and the snipers they came many times while they are pretending to be other people such as ambulances men's or journalists. Sometimes they are like sheikh who's religious men. They are pretending to be ordinary people while they are hiding their weapons in their clothes. So this happened with us many times, and that also affected us while we're working in our field. We escaped many times. We hide it also. We hide it in houses of patients, and many times also happened with us that we stayed about more than 6 or 7 hours in the center without food, without anything. Even neighbors they throw for us some bread to eat once, yani at once, because we
Do they
stayed from
target you,
9.
Mariam? Do they target the healthcare workers?
Sorry.
Do they target the healthcare workers?
Yes, and people after that we were wearing vests vest يعني written on it health for all, but after that we stopped wearing it because people starting to tell us that don't wear it, maybe because the soldiers will do like that, will pretend to be you. So we stopped wearing these vests. Maybe they will have the same vest and pretend to be health workers. Um, um, and we don't want also to be a reason for some people to get hurted from us, because it's a camp full of people and we don't who's wanted or not. And this happened with us many times while we are visiting some people. We discovered that we are in wanted people, wanted يعني, places, and we don't want it to be in a danger for me and for the team and for people also. Uh, this is one of our difficulties that we had in last times, especially after 7th of October. Yes, يعني, while we're hiding in in people's houses, we don't know, maybe this will last for many hours. We don't want to be a burden for people. Um, يعني, this is one thing that happened with us. Many times also we escaped in يعني بأعجوبة, I don't know how to say it, but
Miraculous escape.
yeah. Yes, and many times also we escaped in front of military jeeps and they started to shoot on us. My also team came with me to escape from the whole camp. And what happened to Rasmi still affecting us until now. And we are visiting patients who has are mothers of martyrs who couldn't overcome their difficulties and their sadness. They are taking their medication regularly. They didn't take for eat, for example, the يعني sugar or these things which is affected diabetes or blood pressure, but they still have some difficulties. We discovered that their problem is a psychological problem, and they couldn't overcome the sadness. They cannot overcome the fear and the danger that they had every night. So such these people يعني we're followed by DIFA program every Sunday on Zoom meeting, and with Dr. Henry, who's following us also regularly. But we still have some difficulties to cope with such people. يعني that's all, Dr. Karama.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Jbour, do you want to join us? He's busy seeing patients. So Mariam is in a program called Health for Palestine through One for Three. It is a program that funds the community healthcare workers in 5 different refugee camps. Please consider checking it out and donating to the team. They can use all the help that they can get. And again, our eyes are back always to Gaza. We're hoping to have one of our colleagues who's a veterinary doctor with us today, but he was not able to join us. We know that since the ceasefire ended, the so-called ceasefire ended, the situation in Gaza has become so much worse to a degree that, I think we are all feeling completely disoriented by what is happening. So forgive us for looking like this. And it's just that, life has been extremely difficult, seeing that the innocent children, the innocent people of Gaza are not being given 1 second of a break. And, as this is the worst, because they have, planes dropping bombs on them. There's no even an inch where you feel that you're safe. And the continuous displacement of the people is creating so much tragedy, and the amputations, and even though the ceasefire was not perfect, there was like a period of time where we just did not see the children's bodies being mutilated in front of us. And over the past 2 weeks, one child after another, after another, after another, after another, young bodies, small bodies being completely decimated. No aid is allowed, no electricity, no water, no medicine, no medical missions, killing healthcare workers. We're hearing that, all these Red Crescent workers have been all killed. It is impossible. And add insult to injury, what is happening in this country, the United States, where they are chasing everyone who speaks up. So we are in unprecedented times. So we appreciate everyone being here with us. That is the only thing that makes life a bit easier, is this solidarity that we feel together. We appreciate you, Gaileen. We feel Haiti in our hearts. We feel Sudan in our hearts. We feel Ireland. We feel Zimbabwe. All these places where our sisters and our children are feeling the pain and the suffering every day. We feel them in our hearts. And we cannot forget about any one of you. And if the only thing we can do is to speak up and try to protect the vulnerable amongst us, then at least this life is worthwhile living. Anything else is, I don't think there is any material thing that we can pursue anymore. So, with knowing that women are holding their children, running from gunfire in Haiti, or being raped in Congo, or being, hungry in Sudan, and being bombed to oblivion in Gaza. This is a very difficult time. So thank you. I'll check if there are any questions. There's a lot of questions about the weapons that are being sent to Haiti. Not sure, Dr. Richards, if you know any certain weapon manufacturer that one can speak up against, or is that something that you know of?
Unfortunately not. I had this question and I saw it and I answered, but the majority of because of the proximity of Florida to Haiti, the majority of the guns are coming from Florida and going through Dominican Republic, transiting and going to the bandits in that region, and they are sharing with each other. They are sharing. So I know we have, like, thank God now we have a very group. We have a group of young people on social media and on, like, on media that they are really doing a good job. They are denouncing people. Unfortunately, we have people in Florida, Haitians, that are funding very powerful Haitians, and they know them. Everybody knows those families that are funding those bandits, but it's like, the secrecy that is supporting it is really terrible. But
So basically, this is all preventable. Gun
yes,
control,
yes, yes.
gun traffic
They don't have
control.
guns, they can kill, and
Exactly.
they got guns.
Yeah. So every single place that we spoke about today is completely preventable. We're not talking about hurricanes, we're not talking about pandemics, we're not talking about earthquakes, we're talking about human-made disasters.
Yes.
So let's remember that. So it is in our hands, and we should all try to prevent all these atrocities with all our power. I don't think we have any other option. Maysa, do you have anything to end with?
I just want to end by quoting Audre Lorde. I just want to read something that she wrote, and I think it speaks to the moment, but also speaks to what we can all do. And the speaking will get easier and easier, and you will find you have fallen in love with your own vision, which you may have never realized you have. And you will lose some friends and lovers and realize you don't miss them. New ones will find you and cherish you. And at last, you'll know with surpassing certainty that only one thing is more frightening than speaking your truth, and that is not speaking. So I want to thank you all. It's an honor to be with strong, resilient women as we share in our struggles, and we learn and unlearn. And we continue down the path of courage and speaking out and connecting our struggles and liberation. So thank you so much for all of you. It's an honor.
Thank you so much, Maisa. Thank you, everyone. Anne-Marie, Mariam, Dr. Richard. And see you soon, inshallah. Take care.